All right, here we have a 2017 Nissan 370z. It's the owner's app if you'd like to follow him. It's got a couple mods. It's got a nice NVIDIA Gemini R1 exhaust. It's got a nice duckbill spoiler. Really completes the rear end, in my opinion. It's got some nice wheels, some color touches here and there. Other than that, for the most part, stock. It does have one big upgrade that I will talk about once we start driving. But yeah, this car is fairly small, very nimble, and known to be a fairly good driver's car. Pretty good value. And yeah, it looks really good, especially finished in this black. Really love it. All right, let's take it for a drive. Alrighty, here we go. First drive in the 2017 Nissan 370z. So first impressions is that the clutch is a little bit light. Definitely on the lighter side for other cars I've driven in this class. Not too light though, definitely not too light. But yeah, it is finished and equipped in this 6-speed manual, which is definitely the right way to go for a car like this. Yeah, the seating position is pretty good. It is a bit small in here, but you're definitely not squished. Definitely a bit smaller than other similar cars, but the interior is nicely proportioned. And yeah, it doesn't feel too tight. All the controls are within reach. Steering wheel's good shape. And yeah, I mean, with this owner's spoiler on here, the visibility out the rear window is reduced by about 40%, but I can still see decently well. The mirrors cover the positions I'd want them to, and yeah. The interior is, however, a bit basic. It does seem like it is from the late 2000s, which it pretty much is. It looks very similar to the 350z interior, but the seats are comfortable, even though they're cloth. I don't think there's anything wrong with cloth seats as long as they do the job. They hug you in very nicely, actually. They're nice on the butt, nice on the back. So I don't know if you can hear, but the biggest thing about this car particularly is that the owner has installed 436 gears rear end. So the diff does whine a little bit. He has, I believe it's a Quaife limited slip differential. So at speed, this thing does definitely whine a bit, and the gearing is very, very aggressive. Like I'm going 35. See if you let off, one sec, you let off. I don't know if you can hear that, it picks it up, but it definitely has a whine, almost like straight cut gears. But yeah, just 35 miles an hour. I'm in 5th gear and I'm already at 2,000 RPM. So I bet on the freeway, this thing in 6th gear is pushing some revs for sure. For a gearing setup like this, I'd say if this was your only car in a daily, this might be a bit aggressive for you, especially if you're taking the freeway for long extended amounts of time. But I mean, on the street, this thing, it definitely wakes up the car and is pretty peppy. I did drive this car before it had the gears, and the gears definitely woke this thing up. I mean, the whine of the gears I actually do like a lot. It makes you feel, it's very visceral. It makes you feel really connected to the car. Gives you a neat little sound. Other than that, I mean, the exhaust on this car isn't too loud. It's, you know, in the car has a nice volume. It is a bit drony for my taste. I would probably go with something a little less drony, especially once you get up to about between 2,000 and 3,000 is where the main drone occurs. It's not unbearable, but it definitely isn't the quietest exhaust. I mean, there's other exhausts for sure you can get, louder, quieter. Not really sure how those would compare to this. I haven't been in a ton of 370z's. Another thing about this car, the turn radius is immaculate. I mean, this thing is literally like a little go-kart. It's easily the best turn radius I've ever experienced in a car. This thing just turns. Really can just place it where you want it to go and it'll go. And another thing, this thing is lowered on, I believe, H&R springs, and this car handles well already from factory. It's very nimble. The steering is pretty good. It is, I believe, electronic, so you can definitely feel that it's electronic, but it is fairly direct. You can hear that nice VQ motor. Revs out really high, 7,500. Very fun. All the power is up top, which is what I really like in a car. Down low, it doesn't have too much, but if you're gonna drive sporty, just downshift a couple gears, throw it up top, and let it rip. The owner has also installed a Sony system here in the infotainment, which has Apple CarPlay, and I think that's a big thing for this car. It really helps it out. I'm not sure. I believe this is a base, so I'm not sure if the upgraded trim levels have anything with Apple CarPlay. He might be able to tell us differently, but yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's just a little interesting. There is this storage compartment here that he's got some stuffed animals in here. It's really funny, but there's this nice little storage compartment here you could hide stuff in, or just a little storage compartment to put stuff. Room in the back, not too much room. The trunk is pretty big. It is one big interior. There's no separation between the trunk and the interior. So I'm sure he can. I know he has fit a lot of stuff in here on road trips and things like that, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, this car drives very well. I mean, this is definitely a car that you can buy if you're looking to get in the sports car world. Buy this car, keep it stock, or this car's great to modify as well. I know with some bolt-ons and a tune, and throw some 85 in there, this thing is keeping up with a lot of V8 muscle cars and V8 sports cars, which is very impressive. And this thing with turbos, I know there's twins for this car and singles. This thing is extremely fast and will gap a lot of cars at similar or even higher power levels. The weight of this thing is about 3,200 to 3,300, so very light, very nimble once again. And yeah, we'll have to take it through some twisties and see how she feels. Now let's ask the owner some questions. See what he thinks about this car and his opinions. So one of the big things I touched on was the gears. So what do you think about the gears?
I don't think I could ever go back to not having them, unless of course I had boost.
Yeah, with boost you might have to drop down to a less aggressive.
But for having to install the Quaife LSD, not doing the gears would have been stupid, because the car is so much quicker now.
Yeah, that's why I said it really woke it up around the street. I said it, how do you feel about it on the freeway?
That's another story. I don't mind it as much, but cruising at 80 miles an hour at like 3,800 RPM is kind of rough, and my temps get up there, but you gotta just race car it all the way, and as soon as I get my oil cooler, it'll be fine. But until then, just gonna have to deal with a little bit of heat.
Yeah, a lot of people hate on this car for being a V6, but with the right exhaust, it really sounds good.
Yeah, and I can't wait to do my my test pipes and tune.
Test pipes and tune. So that'll be a lot louder, and delete the cats, and it'll gain some power. And I was talking about how this car is pretty impressive with bolt-ons in the 85.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Speaker up top. This thing's a riot. I honestly love the whine of the diff. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's loud.
It is really loud, yeah. Especially on D-cell, that's when it's really loud.
It's just
Yep.
Yeah,
it's like straight cut gears.
Yeah.
I will say I think the throttle response could be a little better. I think
that's
with the
always
tune,
a problem with these in these cars.
Yeah, I think with the tune that'll probably be better, but you really got to stab the throttle to downshift.
Yeah, I literally every time I downshift, I just mat it once. Like it hits the floor.
Yeah, That seems like what I'm having to do pretty much. But I'm sure just simple tune, that'll fix that. I'm sure they make little throttle things too, but there's no other point in getting that.
Yeah, no, one major thing is updating and upgrading all of the bushings in both the rear subframe, in the transmission, and all that to solid bushing, so that when the car lurches, it delivers power a lot quicker. And then yeah, after a tune and everything, it's supposed to make the whole car feel a lot better.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good car for the price, especially on the used market.
Yeah, no, I got this car for like $20,000, and it had about 30,000 miles on it, and I have a really nice payment on it and everything like that, so all my money can go into mods.
The turn radius is so ridiculous in this thing.
Yeah.
I was talking about that. This is like easily the best turn radius I've ever seen in a car. This thing's like a little go-kart.
Yeah.
So does it chirp into second still?
Oh yeah.
It's a little second chirp. She's spinning.
No, she's torquey.
He's torquey. So how does it pull up top, like on freeway speeds?
What's funny is that because of the gears now, since the new gearing, it pretty much eliminated my 6th gear and gave me a new 1st gear. I'm on the freeway in 5th gear practically when I'm in 6th, and so I can literally do pulls in 6th gear, which is hilarious. But because of my long tube cold air intakes from Stillen, it just lets it breathe so much better up at 7,500 RPM. So it pulls all the way through Redline.
Yeah, I do think I forgot to mention the intakes. Those pretty much helped up top for the most part, right?
Yeah, no, those
big difference.
Make a huge difference.
So with the tune, will that increase the rev limiter any higher?
Yeah, I think I can up it to like 7,750 or like even 8,000.
Nearing 8,000.
Yeah,
it's really gonna scream.
Yeah,
that's awesome. But yeah, I mean this interior isn't like super roomy, but at the same time it's well proportioned where you don't feel like squished. Like it's definitely small, but
yeah, I mean,
there's plenty of room.
I can reach this door from the passenger seat.
But plenty of room, and the way the trunk is set up is pretty ideal for like maximizing space as well.
Yeah, I mean, golfing on the weekends, no problem. Moving my dorm from Arizona to California, no problem. So don't let it fool you. There's a lot of space in here.
I mean, realistically, if you're buying a car like this, you're not going to use back seats anyway, so back seats are pretty useless. So
I prefer it that way because I don't have to drive people anywhere.
Exactly. There you go. It's perfect. It's ideal. Yeah, well, this car is fun as is, and I can't wait till it gets updated a little further with even louder and tune and more power, and I think it'll be breaking a lot of hearts out there.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Alright, well that's the opinions on the 2017 Nissan 370z. I think for the money, if you're looking for a nimble, good handling sports car, I don't think anything could beat this. I think this is a far better car than a FRSD or Z86. Much more power, a lot better deal, and much more modability. So, look no further than the Nissan 370z.